Picture this. Just 2 days before a hurricane makes landfall, the meat aisles are completely stripped bare, and the one resource your body absolutely cannot function without has vanished. Today, we are walking through 12 canned meats you need to secure for your pantry while the shelves are still stocked. Here is what truly terrifies me. Families diligently store bags of rice, boxes of pasta, and gallons of water. Then they completely overlook the single macronutrient that keeps your muscles from wasting, your mind sharp, and your physical endurance from collapsing. That macronutrient is protein. Fresh cuts demand constant refrigeration. Eggs are perishable and fragile. Poultry and beef prices can skyrocket overnight after a single supply chain disruption, but preserved canned meat operates by a different set of rules entirely. It sits stable for years, requires zero freezing, and delivers sustenance the moment you peel back the lid. On this list, you will discover items you can consume in under half a minute, others that stretch into a half dozen small plates, and a few that practically constitute an entire dinner inside a tin. The final entry represents the exact type of muscle-building sustenance that people desperately wish they had stockpiled when they stare at barren grocery aisles. So do not skip over a single one because the top pick might permanently redefine how you evaluate your emergency supplies. Starting at number 12, we have canned Vienna sausages. Visualize this scenario. You have just endured nearly 10 straight hours without electricity after a punishing storm tore through your area. The refrigerator's interior temperature is slowly climbing into the danger zone. Your electric range is nothing more than a cold metal ornament. You are sitting inside your vehicle to charge your mobile phone, anxiously rationing every drop of gasoline you still possess. Perhaps you are looking after an aging parent who requires something to eat immediately, yet they have no desire to cook, no tolerance for a messy cleanup, and simply lack the physical stamina to assemble a complicated meal. That precise moment is when those miniature cans of Vienna sausages reveal their genuine utility. Most shoppers glance at them on the shelf and immediately keep walking. They lack the visual appeal of canned roast beef, the iconic reputation of Spam, and the healthy fatty acids found in salmon or sardines. But the reason Vienna sausages have maintained a permanent spot in the market for decades has nothing to do with being flawless. Their staying power comes from solving a deeply practical emergency. How do you deliver meat, protein, and usable energy in less than 30 seconds? That single question defines the real worth of this product. A tin of Vienna sausages is not engineered to be a perfectly balanced nutritional masterpiece. It is engineered to help you eat precisely when you have no other options. Simply peel back the metal tab and it is ready to consume. No boiling water, no flame, no electric gadget, no additional tools necessary. During normal circumstances, that level of effortless consumption might seem completely unremarkable. Yet, when the grid goes down, when you are driving across the state on little sleep, when severe weather derails all your plans, or when you are simply too exhausted to face a stove, that immediate accessibility becomes a massive strategic advantage. From a dietary standpoint, Vienna sausages deliver protein, fat, and a moderate calorie load to help your system generate energy fast. They are not the most protein-dense option on this list, but they are one of the most accessible, particularly for senior citizens who sometimes struggle with large portions of dense meat or lack the grip strength for intensive meal preparation. This becomes a straightforward, dignified fix. Another strength lies in flexible food pairing. You can eat them directly from the container, tuck them inside bread, match them with crackers, slice them into instant noodles, or mix them with steamed white rice to form a speedy meal. In a survival pantry, ingredients that combine effortlessly often carry vastly more value than ingredients with a single rigid purpose. Storing them is also relatively easy. Simply keep them in a dry, cool location away from extreme heat and inspect them periodically to confirm the cans are not dented, bloated, or corroded. Many of these products can maintain their quality for years if stored correctly, with a price tag hovering around just a couple of dollars per unit. This is also one of the most financially gentle canned meats to build a deep reserve of without crushing your monthly budget. Here is the detail worth paying attention to. Items like Vienna sausages are frequently dismissed during stable times. They sit silently on the shelf with very few shoppers giving them a second thought. But whenever a severe storm, a prolonged blackout, or widespread panic buying behavior emerges, simple and convenient foods like these can evaporate from stock faster than many people predict. Not because they are fancy, and not because they taste like a gourmet meal, but because when you must eat instantly, very few foods match their sheer convenience. Vienna sausages do not win on perfection. They win because when you are starving, wiped out, stuck without power, and refusing to cook a single thing, they can still be opened, eaten, and help you stay upright for a few more critical hours. And on a hard day, that is exactly what matters above all else. Moving to number 11, canned chicken. After just 24 hours without power, the package of raw chicken breast sitting in your fridge can morph from tonight's dinner plan into a biological hazard you would not risk placing on a plate. Throwing it into the trash feels financially painful, but keeping it becomes a dangerous gamble. This is the moment many households have a painful realization. Fresh meat might taste wonderful, but its survival depends entirely on electricity, cooling systems, and a flawless transportation chain operating smoothly. If a single link snaps, the most familiar ingredient inside your house can disappear instantly. That is why canned chicken absolutely earns a spot in your storage area. If Spam represents rapid energy and corned beef represents a heavy, filling meal, then canned chicken stands as the lightest, cleanest tasting, and most universally tolerable protein in the preserved meat category. It does not have to impress you with an aggressive flavor profile or an extremely high fat count. Its real superpower is that practically anyone can digest it comfortably. Older individuals, exhausted people, or anyone who does not want a greasy, heavy meal can handle it with ease. In terms of what your body receives, canned chicken supplies high protein, less saturated fat than many competitors, and B vitamins that support metabolic energy production. For people over 50, this becomes especially worth noting when the body no longer processes foods that are excessively salty, overly fatty, or tough to digest properly. A tender serving of soft chicken in a hot bowl of broth can feel much gentler than a strongly spiced can of preserved meat. The versatility of this item is also worth the cost. You can stir it into chicken soup, porridge, hot rice, noodles, cold salad, sandwiches, or combine it with canned mixed vegetables. A small can costing roughly $2 to $4 can transform a few basic pantry ingredients into a genuine sit-down meal. No defrosting, no chopping, no cross-contamination anxiety from raw poultry juice. Pop the lid and you have protein ready to deploy. To keep quality high over time, store it in a cool, dry space away from direct heat sources and discard any containers that are swollen, rusty, or significantly dented. Most products remain good for multiple years under proper conditions. Here is what so many people severely underestimate. When hoarding behavior spreads through a community, foods that an entire household can safely eat usually run out before anything else. Canned chicken is not flashy, but when fresh meat rots in the warming fridge, the kitchen feels freezing cold, and you can still assemble a hot bowl of chicken soup for everyone you love, you will understand exactly why it deserves a permanent place in your pantry. At number 10, canned turkey. After the Thanksgiving holiday, a rather peculiar phenomenon occurs. The country has just consumed millions of turkeys. Grocery chains have just run aggressive clearance sales, and many home refrigerators are still packed with leftover meat. Yet, just a couple of weeks later, the vast majority of people completely forget about turkey as a pantry staple. They gravitate back toward beef, chicken, sausages, and processed pork, while canned turkey sits quietly in a neglected corner of the shelf as if it has no business being on a long-term storage list. But individuals who know how to prepare recognize a significant opportunity hiding in plain sight. A can of turkey costing about $2 to $4 can deliver more than 20 grams of protein. Yet it is frequently leaner and less heavy than many intensely flavored canned meats. This item should never be viewed merely as leftover holiday meat. It is a lean, tender protein source that slides effortlessly into everyday meals. If canned chicken is the safe default choice, canned turkey is the overlooked smart pick. It is not as boldly seasoned as corned beef, not as famous as Spam, and does not feel as aggressively survival-oriented as beef stew, but that is precisely why it possesses its own distinct advantage. Lighter, less greasy, and easier to weave into normal-tasting meals. Canned turkey is a profoundly valuable lean protein source. Canned turkey is often lower in fat than many other preserved meats while providing vitamin B12, which supports energy, nervous system health, and blood formation. For people past middle age, this is not a detail to take lightly when circumstances force reliance on shelf-stable food for days or weeks. The challenge is not simply eating enough to fill your stomach. The challenge is eating in a way that does not overload your body with sodium, saturated fat, and palate fatigue. Canned turkey is incredibly simple to use. You can craft turkey sandwiches, you can mix it into a crisp salad, you can toss it into noodle dishes, you can eat it alongside rice. You can pair it with canned green beans to create a light meal that still delivers quality protein. It requires zero thawing, zero meal prep, and carries none of the worry of raw meat spoiling inside a broken refrigerator. Open the container and you have meat ready to eat. Canned turkey is usually stocked in much lower quantities than more familiar meats. When shoppers suddenly start grabbing lean, easy-to-eat, non-greasy protein supplies, items like this will not linger on the shelf. What gets ignored on a calm Tuesday can swiftly become the thing you regret not buying when fresh meat spikes in price or supply is severed. Keep canned turkey in a dry, cool place away from high heat and inspect the cans regularly. If a can is bloated, rusted, or badly crushed, do not feel sentimental about discarding it. With shelf-stable meat, personal safety must always outweigh saving a few dollars. Canned turkey is not loud or flashy, but in a wise pantry, it helps avoid cycling through the same meat flavor until you cannot stomach another bite. At number 9, canned corned beef is not designed for light snacking. It is for moments your body needs dense, heavy energy. When you feel drained, cold, or empty after bland rations, a can of corned beef can produce a drastically different physical sensation. Corned beef is richer, heavier, and deeply satisfying. Its greatest strength is nutritional density, high protein, generous calories, and iron for physical stamina. In an emergency, the issue is often having energy to stand up, clean up debris, make repairs, or care for family. Corned beef also brings an extremely assertive flavor, which can be an advantage because you do not need to eat a large quantity. A modest portion mixed with hot rice, potatoes, scrambled eggs, or beans can lift the entire dish. One can does not need to be consumed all at once. You can stretch it across multiple meals. When finances are strained, the ability to multiply meals from one can is incredibly valuable. The trade-off is corned beef is frequently high in sodium, so it should not be eaten constantly in isolation. Use it as the strong flavored meat component and balance it with rice, potatoes, canned vegetables, or legumes. Store corned beef in a dry, cool place away from heat and verify the can is not swollen, corroded, or badly dented. Corned beef injects real energy into a meal when your body craves something strong enough to keep you full for an extended period. This is one of the most worthwhile meat cans to keep tucked away in your storage. At number 8, canned pork possesses a very different quality from corned beef and Spam. Its core value lies in familiarity. Softer, moderately fatty, and easier to work into comforting family dishes. In an emergency pantry, this familiarity matters far more than many people realize. After several days of eating canned goods, the biggest issue is food fatigue when everything starts tasting identical. Canned pork helps food feel warmer, softer, and much closer to a genuine home-cooked meal. A can of pork costing roughly $3 to $5 can add rich, savory flavor to a pot of noodles, rice, or beans for 2 to 3 people. This is important because pork is often bought to be mixed into larger dishes rather than eaten alone. It is used to lift the whole meal, adding richness, protein, and a tangible sensation of fullness. Pork provides protein, fat, and zinc. Protein assists with satiety and muscle maintenance. Fat provides energy and makes food less dry and harsh. Zinc supports immune function and physical recovery. This is not as clinically clean as canned chicken, but it is intensely practical when you need a meal with flavor, fat, and a sense of true satisfaction. Add it to hot noodles, mix it with rice, cook it alongside beans, eat it with potatoes, or add it to a pot of canned vegetables to give the meal more depth. A little pork can also make an entire cooking pot far less boring. That is this item's unique strength. You do not require much volume, but it still makes a dish feel more complete and civilized. Storage mirrors the other canned meats. Keep it in a dry, cool place away from high heat and inspect the cans periodically. After opening, if you do not use the full contents, refrigerate the remainder and eat it soon if conditions permit. Canned pork is less famous than Spam, but its practical value sits remarkably high. It does not just help you get more protein. It helps a bowl of noodles, a plate of rice, or a simple pot of beans become something closer to a family supper than a survival ration. At number 7, canned ham. Americans consume more than 3 billion pounds of ham annually. Yet astonishingly few people even consider canned ham when they are constructing a storage pantry. That is deeply unfortunate because this might be one of the canned meats that best helps preserve the feeling of a normal meal when things begin to feel unstable after several days of eating long-term storage food. The biggest problem in those moments is usually not hunger itself. The problem is monotony. Meals start tasting identical. And that is when canned ham steps forward to show its own strength. Its biggest advantage is not the highest protein tally or the cheapest sticker price. Its biggest advantage is nostalgic, recognizable flavor. A ham sandwich, a hot bowl of soup with a few tender pieces of meat, or a plate of mashed potatoes with ham all bring a significantly more familiar emotional state than many other storage foods. Nutritionally, ham provides protein, vitamin B12, and iron. Protein helps maintain muscle mass and satiety levels. B12 supports the nervous system and energy synthesis. Iron assists in transporting oxygen throughout the bloodstream. This is a fairly solid combination for a canned meat with an easy, approachable taste. Another strength is its capacity to stretch portions. Just a few thin slices of ham are sufficient to make a pot of soup, a plate of noodles, or a serving of potatoes much more appetizing. You do not need to use excessive amounts to generate the sensation of having meat in the meal. Regarding pricing, many canned ham products today frequently range from about $5 to $8 per can. If divided into 4 to 6 reasonable servings, the cost per meal often lands just a little above $1, far cheaper than buying deli meat or fresh cuts regularly. Storage is also remarkably simple. All you need is a dry, cool space and periodic checks to ensure the can is not bulging or rusted. There are days when the body demands extra calories, but there are also days when what you need most is a meal that makes you feel like everything is still normal. During a crisis, a simple ham sandwich can sometimes deliver more emotional comfort than a high-energy meal that tastes completely foreign and strange. At number 6, canned shredded beef. A single can of shredded beef priced roughly between $5 and $7 can make 6 to 8 tacos, several sandwiches, or multiple generous servings of beef and rice. That fact alone is enough to explain why many seasoned preppers view this as one of the most flexible canned meats on the entire shelf. If ham stands out because of its nostalgic comfort, canned shredded beef stands out because of raw versatility. The biggest advantage of this item is speed. The meat is already fully shredded and tender. No cutting board, no prep time, no wasted minutes wrestling with tough cuts. Just open the container and you immediately possess a protein foundation ready to anchor numerous different types of meals. Nutritionally, shredded beef provides a high quantity of protein along with a meaningful amount of iron. Protein helps preserve muscle tissue and keeps you feeling full for much longer. Iron supports oxygen transport and helps the body sustain consistent energy levels. This is a canned meat that functions exceptionally well for people seeking to boost protein in their meals without complicated cooking procedures. What generates the real standout value of this item is its ability to multiply portions. A relatively small amount of meat can be combined with rice, beans, tortillas, noodles, or vegetables to generate many distinct meals. During a period of inflated food costs, the ability to double or triple the number of meals you can pull from a single can of meat offers deeply practical value. You can construct tacos, sandwiches, burritos, beef and rice bowls, or stir it into soup. Each preparation creates the feeling of a new eating experience that significantly helps reduce boredom when you must rely on stored food for an extended time. Regarding price, shredded beef often costs more than canned chicken, but based on the sheer number of meals it can generate, the true cost per serving remains quite competitive. Storage is uncomplicated too. Keeping it in a dry, cool place and inspecting the cans periodically is sufficient. Some canned meats help you feel full. Some help you save currency, but canned shredded beef does one additional thing. It gives you genuine flexibility within a smart pantry. The ability to transform one can of meat into many different meals is sometimes more valuable than the raw volume of food you possess. At number 5, canned roast beef. Some canned roast beef products available today contain more than 90% real meat. That is a number that genuinely shocks many people, because when they envision canned meat, they often picture finely ground mystery paste swimming in sauce or products that feel unmistakably like survival food. But canned roast beef belongs to a completely different category entirely. This is the canned meat engineered for people who claim they dislike canned food, not because they despise stored food itself, but because they despise the sensation that they are eating stored food. And that is exactly the biggest advantage of canned roast beef. If many canned meats focus on raw convenience or calorie density, canned roast beef focuses on the authentic eating experience. Larger, recognizable pieces of meat, a texture closer to a home-roasted cut, and a richer, deeper flavor make it one of the most premium choices in the universe of preserved meat. Nutritionally, roast beef provides a high dose of protein along with iron and vitamin B12. Protein helps maintain physical strength and fullness signaling. Iron supports oxygen transport in the blood. Vitamin B12 plays an essential role in nervous system health and energy production pathways. These nutrients become especially valuable when fresh food sources are no longer as plentiful as usual. But what makes this item genuinely stand out is not printed on the nutrition label. It is sitting on the plate. A serving of roast beef over mashed potatoes, a hot roast beef sandwich with rich gravy, a plate of rice with a few tender slices of meat and savory sauce. Those meals feel substantially closer to a Sunday dinner than a meal pulled from a storage pantry. Regarding cost, canned roast beef typically falls into the higher price range, around $6 to $10 per can, depending on the brand. But in exchange, you are buying an experience much closer to fresh meat than most other canned alternatives. For many older adults or individuals who have a difficult time tolerating heavily processed canned food, this is a completely worthwhile expense. Storage mirrors other canned meats, a dry, cool place, and periodic visual can checks. Some storage foods help you survive, but a select few help you remember precisely what a real, satisfying meal feels like. If you want canned meat, but still crave the texture and dignity of real meat, this sits at the top tier. At number 4, Spam. More than 9 billion cans of Spam have been sold worldwide since this product was first introduced. That staggering number is sufficient to make Spam one of the most commercially successful canned foods in human history. And the interesting question is simply, why? Not because Spam is the most aesthetically pleasing food, and not because Spam is the healthiest option available, but because Spam solves a problem that many other foods simply cannot touch. It provides immediate, dense energy. If canned roast beef is the premium experience, then Spam is pure efficiency. This is a food created to perform one clear task: give you calories, protein, and fat quickly, simply, and with absolute reliability. Spam stands out due to its high calorie count, decent protein content, and significant fat component. In everyday life, many individuals actively try to avoid calorically dense foods. But in an emergency scenario, when the workload is physically harder, food sources are narrower, and the body demands more fuel, those calories transform into a direct advantage. Spam is extraordinarily flexible. You can eat it directly from the can at room temperature. You can fry it with eggs, mix it into fried rice, add it to noodles, place it inside a sandwich, dice it into soup, or crisp it up in a skillet. One can of Spam can appear in dozens of completely different dishes while still performing its core job perfectly. That is why Spam is stockpiled all over the planet, from ordinary households to people preparing for storms, blackouts, or other serious disruptions. Spam typically ranges from about $3 to $5 per can. Considering the calories and number of servings it delivers, this remains one of the lower-cost sources of dense energy per meal. Storage is also incredibly simple. Keep it in a dry area away from high heat and check the cans periodically. Many products maintain stable quality for years. Many people judge Spam solely as a food, but that is an incomplete way to look at it. Spam is genuinely a tool that provides fast, easy to access, and dependable energy when events do not unfold according to plan. Spam has endured this long because it solves a physical problem that many other foods are not engineered to handle. At number 3, canned beef stew. A home-cooked dinner can demand 30 to 60 minutes from initial prep through cooking to final cleanup. But a can of beef stew only needs a few minutes to crack open, heat, and set on the table. That number sounds simple until you experience a day when your body has completely run out of energy to cook. That is the true value of canned beef stew. Unlike many other canned meats, this item is not merely a source of protein. It is practically a complete dinner sealed inside a can. Beef chunks, potato pieces, carrot slices, rich broth, and assorted vegetables. You do not need to think about side dishes. No requirement to open several other cans. No need to turn your kitchen into a small battlefield just to get one warm meal on the table. The biggest advantage of this item is reducing mental and physical pressure after a storm, a day without power, an evening spent caring for a sick loved one, or simply after many completely draining hours. Sometimes what you need is not a multi-step recipe or an elaborate presentation. You just need something hot, soft, easy to swallow, and filling enough to stop the hunger. Nutritionally, beef stew provides protein from beef, calories from meat and potatoes, along with some vegetables to make the meal feel more balanced. It is not the most concentrated source of protein on this list, but it wins because it does not force you to pair and combine multiple ingredients together. You can eat it straight from the container if the situation demands it. If you still have electricity or a gas stove, simply heat it for a few minutes. Eating it with white rice is also a fantastic way to stretch the portion and turn one can into a much more filling meal for 1 or 2 people. Many canned beef stew products frequently range from about $2 to $5 per can. At that price point, you are essentially securing a nearly complete meal: meat, starch, vegetables, and broth all in one package. Storage is also simple. Keep it in a dry, cool place and avoid any cans that are swollen, rusted, or severely dented. There are days when the most valuable thing in your house is not the best-tasting food. It is the food that lets you rest. This is not just a can of meat. This is dinner for the day when you no longer have the energy to cook dinner. At number 2, canned beef chili. A hearty can of beef chili can pack roughly 20 to 30 grams of protein. And if the recipe includes beans, it also delivers a significant dose of fiber, something many other canned meats completely lack. That is why this item does not just help you feel full initially, it helps you stay full for significantly longer. And in a difficult situation, staying full longer is a major strategic advantage. Some foods make you start obsessing about the next meal almost immediately after you finish eating. The meal may appear sufficient, but just 1 or 2 hours later, hunger returns with a vengeance. When food is scarce, the budget is razor thin, or you need to maintain steady physical energy for many hours. Hunger returning too soon becomes a real liability. Beef chili solves exactly that metabolic problem. Its greatest strength is the synergistic combination of protein, fiber, and calories. Beef supplies protein that helps preserve muscle and triggers satiety signals. Beans contribute fiber that physically slows digestion and hunger hormone spikes. The rich, seasoned sauce and moderate calorie content help the meal feel far more physically substantial than many canned meats eaten alone. The method of using it is also highly practical. You can eat it directly after heating, scoop it with rice, dip crusty bread into it, pour it over a baked potato, or use it as the dense filling for a larger meal structure. A can of chili is not just a standalone food. It can function as the foundation for an entire dinner spread. Most canned beef chili products usually range from about $2 to $4 per can. At that modest price, you secure protein, fiber, calories, and a long-lasting physical sensation of fullness. If eaten with rice, bread, or potatoes, a single can can become a hearty meal at a very comfortable cost. Storage mirrors other canned goods. A dry, cool location away from high heat and routine can checks. Beef chili does not stand out because it is luxurious or fancy. It stands out because it is physiologically effective. When you eat a good enough can of chili, you are not rushing to scavenge for the next snack. You can sit still, feel genuinely warm and full, and know that your body still possesses enough fuel for several more hours of activity. One small can, but it can keep you full for hours. And finally, at number 1, premium canned beef. When you are building a serious pantry, the biggest error is not buying too little food. It is buying too many products that superficially look like food, yet fail to provide enough real nutritional value when you need it most desperately. That is precisely why premium canned beef deserves the #1 position on this list. This item is not for individuals who simply want to fill shelves with the cheapest cans possible. It is for those who comprehend that in a difficult situation, high-quality protein can matter substantially more than the sheer quantity of cans you own. When fresh meat becomes prohibitively expensive, harder to source, or impossible to store long-term due to a power outage, a can of genuine solid beef in the pantry carries a completely different weight. The valuable hallmark of this type is its exceptionally high meat content. Fewer fillers, less sauce masking the contents, less of that psychological feeling of eating merely to get by. When you peel back the lid, what you require is real beef, not a watery mixture that forces you to consume excessive liquid before you feel remotely satisfied. In terms of what the body receives, premium canned beef provides protein, iron, and vitamin B12. Protein helps sustain physical strength and lean muscle tissue. Iron supports the blood's capacity to carry oxygen efficiently. B12 is intimately connected to energy regulation and nervous system function. For older adults, this is not a minor detail. When the overall diet narrows sharply, these specific nutrients become even more critical to daily function. The method of using it is also highly practical. You can eat it as a standalone main course, add it to soup, cook it into a stew, or eat it alongside potatoes, rice, or canned vegetables. Because the meat is more concentrated and dense, even a small portion can elevate the quality of the entire meal. Regarding price, this group usually sits much higher than many other canned meats, ranging from 6 to 12 pounds per can, depending on brand and cut size. But this is not a product you acquire because it is cheap. This is a product you acquire because of its nutrient density, meat integrity, and long-term storage reliability. Store it in a cool, dry place, away from any high heat sources. And always discard any can that is swollen, deeply rusted, or badly crushed. Premium canned beef is not something to show off in massive quantity. It is something to quietly keep for the moments when you genuinely need food with real substance and weight. When everything else becomes scarce, real protein will become one of the most valuable assets in your entire pantry. After reviewing these 12 types of canned meat, the most crucial thing to remember may not be which brand is superior or which item tastes the best. What matters most is one incredibly simple truth. When the supermarket shelves are fully stocked, protein just feels like another commodity. But when supply lines are disrupted, food prices skyrocket sharply, or a severe storm makes daily life significantly harder, real protein starts becoming genuinely precious. No one regrets having too much stored food when they urgently need it. On the flip side, what so many people deeply regret are the items they intended to buy but never did. Preparing is not about living in a state of fear. Preparing is about giving yourself more choices when other people have no choices left at all. And sometimes, the only difference between deep worry and total calm is just a few cans quietly sitting on a shelf in your kitchen. If you found this information valuable, please hit the like button to help my channel reach more viewers who need this knowledge.